a sense of awe, and life become more beautiful. So we don't have to look for like a big achievement to feel like we make something different, but like a small things. And I think that's a give me at least aliveness, so I can be more present, because I know the presence. There's something in the presence, because I think we don't stay in the presence because we feel there's nothing there. It's boring. I would rather, browse social medias and do stuff. But I still do it, but the idea of there's so much in the presence that we can sense and connect. That's just beautiful. That's what it means to be human for me.
Everyone, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I have someone joining me today who's a TEDx superstar. Let's just say that. Because she did a recent TEDx talk, and we'll have a link for it. You have to go check it out, everyone. Please, I'm asking everyone to go check out the video, like it, share it with all your friends and family. A great message over on TEDx from our guest today. And beyond TEDx, which is amazing, first of all, got to honor that. Our author today is on to talk about her book, The Heart Space. We're going to be chatting about all things about her book and everything, of which I have a copy right here of the book,
Yay.
Which I'm so excited to have in my own hands. Christine Samuel's on the podcast. Christine, welcome to Living the Next Chapter.
Well, thank you, Dave, for having me here. It's an honor.
And thank you for the book. Thank you for putting this in the world. And for me to have a copy is an honor. My wife and I are wrestling back and forth with this book to see who's going to have it next. So I grab it out of her hands and I go read it for a while as well. Great book. It's beautiful, by the way. I love the cover, everything about it. Congratulations on a great book. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
great.
It's about 3.5 years of work.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
3.5 years here in a book. That's That's amazing. So, okay, for those who don't know where you're from, Christine, can you tell everybody where you are in this big world of ours?
Yeah, I live in Toronto, Canada, right downtown. Originally from Indonesia, but I've been here for almost 25 years, I guess.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, great. And all that time in Toronto then?
Yeah, all that time in Toronto.
Okay. Good. Excellent. Well, there you go. We're practically neighbors. I can see you from across Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
So I'll wave, you wave. We'll see each other, right? Yeah. No, it's good. So, okay, tell me more about The Heart Space. When did the idea come up to write this book? Take us back to the origin story of why this book is here in the world.
That's a good question. Yeah. So, basically about 5 years ago, I was still in the corporate world, in my career as user experience strategy and design. And I look around and I thought, there's something wrong with human, including myself. It's like, we are not human being, we're human doing. Like doing, and always asking, when I wake up in the morning, I ask myself, what should I do? What should I do today? Right?
Yeah.
Instead of like be and enjoy the moment. It's always asking about what do I need to do next? And even when we do something, we always think about what's the next thing we need to do. So I start noticing in myself, especially also in others, how that really impact our life and how it's so unnatural. It's so hard to be restful. So I start, and because my background is user experience, where basically what I do, I observe and notice pain point, what are the user pain point when they use app or websites and how they can accomplish their tasks better. So I'm very interested in human experience, what creating human experience. So from there, what happened was like, I wanted to write a book, but it's about, the art of being, but I didn't know how to write it. It just so overwhelming in the beginning because it seems a lot. And I was not a writer. And so I just had it in my mind. And as I went through my own spiritual journey, as you know, I think most people during COVID experience that, like who I am, what I'm doing here. then this book, the ideas about the head space and heart space came because I start noticing what is within my experience that is so different. There's one time where I felt very peaceful and open and easy to surrender, relax, and being mindful. And there's other time where I was so scared and try to like figure out how things have to be, and trying to find out the steps, trying to make sense about everything. So I like, what is this about? What is in us that can go so fearful of nothing, actually, so fearful of the things that we don't know most of the time.
Yeah.
And at a time where we're so joyful and be so open, be so playful. So I start noticing those, and that's basically what I wrote in the book. And what also happened, I decided, because there was like a huge thing happened at work where it's a painful experience, but I thought, you know what, this is not what I want. And sometimes we have to go through pain to change.
Yeah.
And I decided, you know what, I was going to do something very different than before. So I let go everything. I left my career, and I just decided to live from my heart space, to follow my heart path. And because things that I did before didn't work. So the book came from that, because I felt if I want to write a book that is powerful, because there are so many books out there, and the only book that I can write, the best book that I can write, is the book that only me can write.
Yeah.
Which is my own stories or my own perspectives. So this book is not a memoir, but I know I can do something with my voice, even though I'm nobody. I'm not famous or have anything that is out there. But I know I can make a difference, because my voice, and actually every voice, all the voices that we have, each of us we have unique voice, we have unique story, because each of us has different experiences in our life that can contribute to the understanding of the bigger pictures about life, about, certain things that every human goes through.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Christine, imagine this situation. Okay, this happening. You walk into your local cafe close to where you live. It's busy. There's people sitting down, enjoying their coffees and all their lattes and everything. You look over and you see your book sitting on one of the tables, and someone's sitting there and your book is right in front of them. They haven't met you yet. They haven't put two and two together that you're the author of that book. You walk over and you sit down with them. What do you want them to know about this book before they open it as the author in that moment? What would you say to that person that has your book sitting there on the table in front of them? What's your message to them? What do you want them to know about this book?
I would say that's a great question. First of all, I would say this book is about you, not about the author, not about me, but it's about you. That everything you need, everything you think it's missing, that you didn't have it, you have it. And that book will show you that you do have it.
I love it. I love it. And that would be such a great moment for you to see your book sitting there. Be like, that's my book right there. And that person has my book, right?
I have a story. I have a coffee shop near my neighborhood, a small coffee shop that I always go, almost every day. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna put the book over there, and I wrote something in the book saying, this is for the coffee shop, dedicated for the customers, but please, after you read it, just leave it back, put it back where it belongs, which is in the coffee shop. About a month after that, it's disappeared. Someone took it.
So if that was you,
I know.
If that was you, we're looking for you. Yeah, no, it's good.
I didn't know what happened, but I just put a good thought on that. Somebody needed and really interested in the book and took it, and I hope they bring it back for someone else to read it.
Yeah. So if that's you and you live in Toronto and you have a
Yeah.
copy of this book you didn't pay for, Christine is looking for you. She'd love to chat with you. Maybe we'll get you, we'll get a replacement copy put in that coffee shop as well. I love that. That's great. When I was reading through it, Christine, the one thing I kind of stood out to me was you were talking about um, how many human beings it takes for us to be here on the planet.
No.
And you broke this down for us in your book. It's on, for those listening at home, page 89. You talk about how our family tree and the amount of people it took for us to be present in this world. And I thought this was interesting because you lay it all out: 2 grandparents, 4 grandparents, 2 8 great grandparents, 16 second great grand, and it goes down the whole list. And the one thing that you mentioned, you say here that really caught my eye was, you are the result of the lives of the many people who lived before you. You wouldn't be here without them. And I'm like, that's, I think when we all struggle with identity and knowing who we are in this world, finding our path, what's unique about us, why are we special? Page 89 tells you why you're special. You are the result of all these amazing people in your past, and you wouldn't be here without them. And you're part of that legacy, right? So talk to me a little bit about that as you kind of think back on that, writing this part for us. Why is that so important to you to talk about why, about that specifically, about that we're the result of the lives of the people who lived before us?
Yeah, the reason, and I think that comes with the chapter itself. We are actually a relational being. Why I wrote showing that, and especially about the heart space, is like with the head space, we are so busy with ourselves. It's like every day we're taking a selfie. It's about me, why things happen to me, and what I'm, it's about me, that, and all very analytical, rigid and fragmented thoughts, that we forget that we're not alone. We forget that we are so interconnected. And I just want to show, like in that chapter, I also show like how related, like what is the interconnected, about even our words, our languages, our body, and specifically about that is like, especially in the Western society, in the East, usually they, also in the indigenous culture, they're more respect, or they spend a little bit more time to contemplate or respect or give honor to the ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
But in a Western society, we don't.
No,
right?
That's right.
I came from Indonesia. Even for me, I only know my grandparents. I didn't know the story of my great grandparents. So I felt, isn't it amazing? Like if we can kind of sit down and think about how they, the struggle, the challenges, the victories that these people that we didn't know but related to us, that been through so many different things like us, maybe in a different culture, different context. And if without them, without their existence, we're not gonna be here. It just creates that sense of belonging, sense of purpose, and sense of, wow, I'm special.
Yeah.
I'm special because they are special.
Yeah.
And I think the way of us seeing ourselves as special is related how our ability to see others as special. So when that whatever we felt, gratitude or sense of self, that bigger than our ego, bigger than ourself, there's this feeling of awe. And suddenly all, our problem disappeared, right? Like, things, the food that we eat was not right is disappeared, right? Whatever today that small stuff that we think about, we ruminating, it disappeared because we focus more to something that bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think, and then when you realize, the people, your parents, maybe beyond your parents, your great grandparents, is like you are here, that you're not just yourself, you are supported. You are here also, there's a sense of legacy, an idea of legacy that you don't just live and then die and then nothing happened, but
Yeah.
you can kind of bring something to this world and it affecting other people, even though you don't know how you affect them. So I think there's a sense of purpose that comes from that too.
It's great. I love it. Again, it's a great book. I'm really enjoying it. As you were writing it, how did you change over that? You said like 3 years of writing. How did you change as an author, as a person in writing the book? There's got to be a difference in you personally as you put something special out like this in the world. How are you different?
Yeah, that's true, Dave. Um, I what's different is it's easy for me to get into the awe, the awness, to feeling an awe, a feeling of connected, to a feeling of extraordinary in ordinary. Because if you start slowing down and instead of thinking from the head, which is very narrow focus, but thinking more encompassing and seeing the interconnectedness, then you start seeing, even I put in my book a story of where I was in a park walking. I was so sad and depressed at that moment because of something happened at work. And I walk and I watch my footsteps and then just realize that every step I take doesn't matter, is it left, right, front, back. There's always ground beneath me, like holding me. No matter, there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong directions. I can go anywhere, and there's always this ground that hold me. Like even a simple thing like that, it's just so, ordinary, right? We walk every
Yeah.
day. We don't notice, but seeing like the interconnectedness give a sense of awe and life become more beautiful. So we don't have to look for like a big achievement to feel like we make something different, but like a small things. And I think that's a give me at least aliveness, so I can be more present because I know the presence. There's something in the presence, because I
Yeah.
think we we don't we don't stay in the presence because we feel there's nothing there. It's boring. I would rather, browse social medias and do stuff. But I still do it,
Yeah.
but the idea of there's so much in the presence that we can sense and connect. That's just beautiful. That's what it means to be human for me.
We have some new authors that are listening, Christine. They're like very early days in their journey of becoming an author. The idea of having a book to hold in their hands like yours, it seems like a million miles away. Like this just feels like it's going to be an eternity for me to get to the point where you are. You have this now in the world, and there's young authors listening, and they're thinking, I can't wait to be where Christine is. But your thoughts to a young author to encourage them on their journey. What did you need to hear like 3 years ago about this moment that the book is out in the world and people are loving it and reading it and finding value in your words? What did you need to know 3 years ago that would have been helpful as a young author?
Wow. You always ask good questions. um, I would say, don't take your logic too seriously.
Hmm.
What I mean is, your logic is the ideas of on our analytical is we
Yeah.
always have to prepare, right? Like step one, outline, step two, this, step three, this. And when you pay too much attention on those steps, on all the details, you get overwhelmed. The book becomes so overwhelmed because it's just so much that you need to write that even you don't know, you know. But be in the mode of like a child. A child don't think about the outcome. Let's say, let's play in the ground. Let's play in the playground, and they don't discuss, okay, what's the outcome? What do you
Yeah.
achieve when we finish the play? right?
Can I make money at this playing in the
Yeah,
playground? Can I turn this into a business? Oh, no.
yeah.
Go play in the playground. Yeah.
Or like, how many calorie can I burn, right? They don't ask those
Yeah.
kind of questions. They just play. So I would say just be gentle with that analytical mind, because
Mm.
they're there to kind of become a protections, like what you're doing, like a trying to control. But be like a child, be curious, be open, play, because only when you are in a playful mode, you can be creative. Um, Otherwise, when we are like trying to analyze everything, how this gonna work, I don't know, it's bad, then you don't give yourself a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
So can you provide a psychological safety for you to write and play and be free of making mistakes?
Yeah.
And what I want to bring out is, as well, I think as an artist, I think writers also an artist, how important also arts for humanity, because in arts we cannot compare. You cannot compare, oh, you're better than me, I'm better than you. It's just your expressions. So if you can play in a place where there's no good or bad, the only thing that decide good or bad is you. So just restrain yourself from judging too fast. And one thing I also noticed, because I'm part of several Facebook group for authors,
Mm-hmm.
and like they said, how do you get a writer block? I try to write something, but I don't know that I have writer block. And I think, it's a bias. See, this is what I know after writing a book, after really noticing what's the trait between the head space and the heart space.
Yeah.
The head space like to label things, because when you can name things,
Yeah.
when you can make conclusion, because it's seek conclusion, you feel like you're in control. So what happened during creative process is, creativity is not a machine, right? It's not like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I expect in 5 minutes I came up with something beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you may came out within a minute, but sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes a week. So when it's longer than what you expected, what our analytical mind does is we label it. We said, oh, it's a writer block. I cannot do it. It's block. It's not. It's not a block. It's just not here yet. So don't label it. So what I also found is, when I write this, I kind of have an idea of what's the book gonna be, but I didn't know what's the chapters. And then I sit down and then I find out, well, yeah, I have an idea about the chapters. So then I start chapter 1 or, chapter 5, whatever it is. I sit down. I had no idea about that chapter. Then maybe like this. Very, very, very like vague, right? And then sometimes I would have to kind of think about it and just let it sit in me. And then the idea of introduction came. And then, okay, I knew it. So I write the introduction. I write the first sentence. I didn't know the second sentence. And then I write the second sentence. Then I knew the paragraph, but I didn't know the next paragraph. And then I write the third paragraph. Then I have like a subsection. I didn't know the next section. So the only way I knew the next section, the only way I knew the next paragraph, the next chapter, was when I walked through it. When I courageous enough to say, I didn't know the next chapter or next sentence, but I will stay here, wait. Even wait, I didn't care if my brain said no, like a child, please give me something, please give me something. And the parent was, okay, I'll give you something. I wait, I sit down. Sometimes it's only like, 5 paragraphs, but no, five sentences in an hour or two. I sat there because I knew the next will come. Not because I sit here and said, what is about 5 paragraphs ahead? Because I cannot know that. I only knew when I go one step. And then on that step, I knew the next one. And then from there, I knew the next one, because from so close, you can feel and sense. You don't just guess, you feel and sense the next movement. And that's how you create momentum. I hope that's clear enough.
It's good. No, I'm with you the entire time. It's great. I think that helps as for a young author to get some clarity and to understand that it's, again, you say it takes you took you over 3 years to write this. When somebody sits down and thinks, hey, I've got 2 days on the weekend, I'm going to write a book. Okay, there's a lot of heart time in writing a book as well. So don't be in a hurry. Like, don't rush. Like you said, just sit and wait for the words to come. I think people need permission to hear that.
And I also want to add something. I felt in the beginning, there's so much time I spent that I didn't know I was writing it. The thing about writing a book, sometimes, of course, when you write in from a computer or, you sit down, at that moment, you are in the moment of writing the book. Yeah. But sometimes when you walk in the park, or when you hear a podcast or topics that you love, maybe a TEDx talk or something, you are writing too, because it gives you ideas. And a lot of things that I do in my book, it's like at that moment in time, around that, month or whatever, I'm writing, let's say chapter 5. And then I was like walking and listening to like someone talking on YouTube and like, oh, wow, that sentence, that's amazing. It just hit me. And I have to, write it down. And those kind of moments, it's when you are writing, but you don't know you're writing.
Yeah.
Something that I'm not sitting, and it's like when you open and allow information to come to you, right? Not just you trying to do something or create something from nothing. Just allow the information, especially if the book is really something that you want to write, that you feel you're born to write that book. So just allow the universe or whatever, the creativity that is not just you, but interconnected with the collective awareness to inform you or to give you some ideas. So that's basically what I felt like I learned something from there. That my productivity is not just when I sit down, but also when I let my mind wander and open.
Let's jump back earlier in the conversation. You talked about being versus doing. What you're talking about this, where you're not actually writing, you're just, picking up on all these things. You're doing writing instead of being a writer in that moment when you're picking up from all these other things and sources and going, oh, I love that, right? You're not sitting down and being a writer in that moment. You're doing your writing, right?
Yes, it's like, in a way, at the end of the day, if you integrating your head space with the heart space, it's all become one, right? Because when we be in the way that you want to be, the state that you want to be, then all you're doing will be aligned with your being, right? Because it's give the soul of what we do.
It's a very interesting conversation, Christine. I'm enjoying this a lot. You talked about going on to do your TEDx, which you just did and was released recently, and we'll have links for that for everyone to go watch that and experience that. How intimidating is it to do a TEDx talk for you? Is it to get up on stage and to have everybody's attention on you in that moment? What's going through your mind just as you're ready to walk out on that stage?
Oh my God. I felt, okay, besides writing the book, right? It took 3.5 years. I never felt I did a very hard preparation with this TEDx. Like this is a very hard work. What I mean hard work, very intense work. The thing is about, you see all the TEDx speaker, they talk, like so flowing, so, amazing, meaningful messages, but it takes a lot of hours to write it well, to write it so it's aligned with what you want to say, and also to practice and memorize it. Memorize it. Hours. hours, right?
Hours. Yeah.
Yeah, until it feels good with the way you deliver, your gesture and what you want to say and how you say it, where you stand, how you move. So it's really, it's not just the words, but I felt it, of course there's a performance elements, right? Because it's, so you have to embody what you said.
Mhm.
And there was about I think 17 or 15 speakers
Wow.
during that event, and I was the first. They put me the first person.
Oh. Oh, wow.
I know, it's like, oh yeah, Christine, we love your talk. We want your talk to be, the setting the space, the tone for the rest.
Wow.
So that's a big pressure for me. But it was scary. And it's a big stage because
Yeah.
people like, whoa, TEDx talk. So there's a kind of, oh my God, this is something big, right? What I found is it's easy to get into, oh, I hope I don't screw up, or like stuff like that. But when I thought the way I think about writing a book, that this is not about me, this is
Hmm.
about the message that bigger than me, that calms me down. Just like the idea of the ancestors. Like it's not just about
Yeah.
me. Oh, I'm like too small. But like when you felt that you are supported, when you felt you do something bigger than yourself,
Yeah.
then that small thoughts that worry about this, that, and it just disappear. And then I deliver it. Of course, there's mistakes. Things that I want to say and I forget to say in the middle. I have to pause a little bit, but also learn that imperfection, being not perfect, is part of growth.
Mm.
So it part of growth. There's no way you can be perfect and growing. And that's just my realization.
Right.
Yeah. So because when you grow, you have to do something new that is slightly different than what you used to.
Yeah.
And of course, there's also things that are not expected, as you not things that happen that not you don't expect it. So for me, what I learned the most is accept that in growth, especially the big one for me, like just big growth that are so far from what you used to. Um, there's imperfection in it,
Hmm.
because that's life. And perfection is just things that doesn't fit your expectation. So again, it's a mind made. It's not real.
Yeah.
So you just be okay, because the only person that think you are imperfect more than anybody else is you.
Right.
Meaning, like, the audience probably don't, English is my second language, at
I
that.
know.
So my children were watching. They were in at the event, and my son, I asked, "What do you think, Mommy? You pronounce response wrong." Oh no, you pronounce pause wrong. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be pause. And I didn't know that because English is my second language. I learned something new.
See? There we go.
Anyhow,
Right?
yeah. That's happened. But at least I knew something that was not right before.
I'm glad you brought up the perfection part in there as well, Christine, because again, a lot of people that I work with in podcasting and authors I get to talk to, seems to be a common thread that everyone in the early days of starting something new is always afraid of being judged for not being
Yep.
their content's not good enough, their book's not good enough, their podcast isn't good enough. And then they wrestle with that whole imposter syndrome thing that happens to many of us because they want something good in the world. They want to
Definitely.
represent themselves. They want to do something great for their community. They want it to be good, which is admirable. We
Uh-huh.
want to do a good thing in the world. But the whole idea that has to be perfect before I'm done. We're not perfect people. And that's something that I think people really get distracted by is my book has to be perfect. My TEDx talk has to be perfect. I have to say the word pause correctly. I have to do everything right. Otherwise I'm not I'm not at the level I want to be at. And you're giving us permission through your book and through what you're telling us today that perfection isn't required, right?
Yeah. And I felt for me, it's good to practice that, to face it. Because, when I
Yeah.
felt that, oh my God, I've been saying pause wrong. It's like there's this shame in my body, right? Like there's this, I can feel it in my body. Everybody like, oh, it's not too that serious, but like that sometimes the feeling of this, oh, I need to be perfect, is because deep down we feel shame. There's maybe, and I believe that doesn't come from now, but from our childhood.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, it's good to experience it, to feel it. Oh, I knew that's the feeling that came to me, and like, oh, what is that? I'm curious. And be kind to myself.
Right.
And that's the only way I can practice self-compassion, and I can practice my muscle to be okay with that, because it's so frightening us to feel that again, or like the consequence of shame or guilt or whatever, or like being perceived as bad, as not good enough. But as we kind of face it, one step, one small dose at a time, we will be able to go to bigger stage, right? We be able to serve more. So as we felt not enough, I need to be perfect. But also, I think each of us that want to bring ourselves out there, beside, of course, a personal reason of want to be acknowledged and being seen, is you have purpose. You want to create an impact. You want to do something meaningful. And if you can focus more on that, saying like, what I want to do is bigger than me. What is this what I want to express is much bigger than me. Then you can put aside that, small ego of us, that looking for perfection.
It's great. Again, everyone, the book is called The Heart Space by Christine Samuel. And Christine, where do we go to connect with you? I have your website up, so I'm cheating. I have it already on my screen as we're going through this. How do we connect with you through your website? And I have one more question for you at the end, but where do we go?
Yeah, so my website is christinesamuel.ca. I also give away one chapter 2, free download. So you can go there, find a form, like a link with, enter your email address. So christinesamuel.ca. And also you can connect with me on Instagram, Christine Samuel here, and YouTube also. Yeah, you can find my name on there.
Good. And then we'll have a link as well for your TEDx talk. We'll have links to everything for everyone, and a link to the book as well. Please, when you buy Christine's book, because I know you will, maybe take it to your local coffee shop and donate a copy to your local coffee shop, right?
Yeah.
Buy 2 books, one for yourself and one for your local coffee place. But as well, when you buy a book, please leave a great review for our authors. It really does help them to understand how the book is connecting with you as a reader. It also tells other people the value you found in these books. So please, speaking to the audience, as you buy these books, please support the authors with those great reviews. Christine, the name of my podcast is Living the Next Chapter. So you've mentioned chapters many times in our conversation today, which is awesome. Every time I hear that next chapter or the chapter, I'm like, oh, that's kind of the name of my show. As we talk about living the next chapter, and as we close off, Christine, I got to ask, how are you living your next chapter? What's next for you? What are you excited about down the road that's got your attention? What can we expect from you in the future?
Thank you, Dave, for asking that questions. There's another book that already in me that I felt chosen to write. Not right away, but I know it's there. And the big title is Inner Sovereignty.
Oh,
That's something, I don't know, another 2 years maybe. I hope it's faster than my first book, but yeah, it's there. It's the continuations of Living from the Heart Space. And also I'm very passionate on sharing my message. So I love to be invited more to events to speak about the heart space, to speak about the deep listening, facilitating, meeting a lot of people, and also to share a message about relational intelligence that we need in this world, that even though the technology connect us more connected than ever, like I would never have met you, Dave,
Yeah.
even not
Right.
because of technology. But at the same time, it also disconnect us from ourselves and others. So I believe there's something in us if we activate relational intelligence, which is one of the way to do it is, living from the heart space, then we can um, access a lot more of human collective intelligence, because
Yeah.
we more willing to listen to one another and give others acknowledgement and reflect back, instead of giving advice or trying to fix others, or trying to whatever. I think be helpful, what I
Yeah.
would call it, but be with one another and see each other as human being that has unique, very unique uh, inner genius. You have different lights that shine differently than me, even though we are still human. But if we can kind of see in one another that light, how special is that light of the other person, and be able to communicate it, to express it,
Yeah.
I think that would make the world a better place, more creative, more collaborative,
Yeah.
and more
Yeah.
fun, definitely.
Excellent. Christine, if I had the opportunity to go back 3+ years ago and meet you, my advice to you back then, 3+ years ago, would be to walk up to you at your local cafe and you're like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? And I would come up and go, Christine, thank you for the idea of your new book that you're going to write. And I'll see you in a couple of years, because I can't wait to talk about what you've done. And you're going to get on stages, you're going to get in front of people and share your message to thousands of people around the world just because of this idea to write the heart space. So congratulations on writing a new book. I would be there to encourage you in those early days to follow that idea, because it's going to open the doors for many great things for you. And it has. And it's going to open even more doors. So congratulations on a great book. And I'm looking forward with great interest in what you're going to do next. Come back, give us updates. Let us celebrate with you when the next book launches. We want you back here to celebrate on book number 2. Okay?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. This is I felt this is like time travel. I'm
Right?
time
Yes.
travel. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
I love it.
for I met you 4 years ago.
Yeah,
I
right?
met you 4 years ago, and now too.
And here we are again. Yes,
Yeah.
it's really weird, but I love it.
Yeah.
Christine, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Dave.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, thanks for being here for the Living the Next Chapter podcast. So glad to have you as part of our family of listeners. There's a seat for you just here on Living the Next Chapter, and I'm so happy that you have listened to all the way to the end. Wow, you are now my new bestie. I want to let you know that I host 7 other podcasts on top of Living the Next Chapter. Yep, 8 total. One of them is called the How To Podcast series. If you are thinking, you know what, Dave, this podcast thing seems like a lot of fun, well, I'll give you a secret. It is. It's a great, amazing, fun time where you can get to meet great people, get your word out there, promote your book, promote what your coaching program, whatever you're doing. Podcasting is great. And if you want to learn how to do this, what you're hearing right now, head over to howtopodcast.ca and look up the How to Podcast series on YouTube, whatever app you're listening on. You'll find me there. And I'd love for you to come listen to how to do this. And if you're interested and have questions on how to podcast, reach out to me at howtopodcast.ca. Thank you for listening. Talk soon.